hello, and welcome to episode 566 of Prog Review. And today, if you haven't read the title and description, it's In C by Terry Riley. It was written in 1964, and I believe this one was, even though it was written in 1964, I think this was recorded in 68. And there was a programme on the BBC 4 recently about minimalism, and I'm a big fan of Riley's rainbow incurved there. I'm just tickling his ear there. Very big fan of that album. I've already done a review of that, so I can't do that again. I could do. So I realised I hadn't actually heard the original version of this. I hadn't heard it, so I went out of my way and I bought a copy. There are many different versions of this, you see, for it exists to be played in many different formats. Because the actual thing itself, the actual music, that's the interesting part. Because it is an exercise in minimalism, or not minimalism. It can In C consists of 53 segments, parts, and they can be short, a couple of beats, a beat to 53 beats. Any instrument, you play any time, and there's and you can start different times and end at different times, and there are various rules that are put down to play this piece of music, but it's kind of random. It's even though there are phrases in it that will come back, the idea is that it's almost self-generating music, you know. It's not concrete, you know. It's not, mind you. I mean, classical music isn't concrete because you have composers and various orchestras interpret the music. So this is an extension of that. So yeah, it's how do I describe it? It can be very different from. I mean, I'm talking about different. I'm not actually talking about this album. I'm talking about various versions I've heard, but. You can play it. I think you can play it any tempo as well. So it can be. You can have versions that are fast. I think this version, the tempo is about 130-ish, which is quite fast. Or you can have it slow. And the instrumentation on this is we've got oboe, trumpets, violas, vibraphones, flutes. I was surprised to see John Hassell actually plays on this. Marimbaphone, vibraphone, I've said that. You've got a very interesting tone palette to choose from them, and it is very intense. When I heard this, I found it a very intense experience. That's all I can describe it as. It's hard to describe. It's a flurry of notes. It's a big cascade of things happening and going in and out of phase, and whenever I listen to this, especially this kind of music, whenever you've got these kind of phrases playing against each other, it kind of makes my heart race, and I don't know why. And that's probably why I like it. It's almost like an adrenaline rush. Makes me feel a bit tense. Odd, isn't it? Not odd, but I found it very, very compelling to listen to, especially after hearing other versions. I'd already heard other versions of it, but I'd never heard the original, which is, I suppose, it's a bit odd, but I'm a bit weird like that. Again, I'm just trying to think how do you describe it, because again, you can play it. I mean, there's meant to be, well, there isn't meant to be. There was introduced a pulse in the middle of it to kind of keep time, but I think Riley's original version had no pulse to keep it to keep everything glued together. So it could be even more random if you haven't got that almost like metronome beat running through it. Then all the phrases could just be very, very liquid. against each other. Anyway, so yeah, I listened to this and I was very entranced by it. Like I said, I found it a very intense experience. I was surprised how the tape just goes at the end and then it fades in and fades out. There's no grace in this because it's the entire piece, but the edits are kind of the edits are rubbish. There's no fade out, just and then it fades back in again, which I thought was that was kind of curious. But yeah, I mean, probably the most famous cover of it is by Bang on a Can All Stars, their version, which I think was released at turn of century 2001, because they made their name doing music for airports, cover, and I'd heard that one, and so I was familiar with the feel. That's it, the feel of it. But this was completely different, same but different. Oh, it's really odd because there is this DNA running through it. It's a curious piece. I do find it fascinating. And then I heard an electronic one. I'll tell, because there was a couple of versions on eMusic, which I thought I'd have a look at. Yeah, by the Salt Lake Electric Ensemble, and I think there's all synthesizers, and so it felt completely different. It was a completely different colour to it. It felt more like electronic experimental music, even though it's born out of I suppose it's born out of classical. So again, changing the instrumentation that's used, changing the timing, again slowing it down, speeding it up. There is one, I think it was who is it? Adrian Utley, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, Adrian Utley, who featured in the Minimalism program. I think he featured. I might have made that up. You know what I'm like. He did a version where it's all guitars. I haven't heard that version. So there are many different versions of In C to choose from, and that's what makes it a fascinating piece, because it's taken on a life of its own, and it's very rare for classical music. Yeah, again, you have different adaptations and different versions, interpretations of the classics, but here it's almost organic. The music becomes organic because it is all about the human process, the decision making process of how am I going to play this, what phrases am I going to use, how many times am I going to repeat it. Again, we don't even talk about volume, intensity. Do I play the notes soft? Do I play them hard? There's I thought it was really curious to hear it, and it's again, I think it's one of those pieces, one of those albums, one of those pieces that I think you really have to take on board if you're interested in ambient music or experimental music. This is the seed of that. This is really at the root of some of those albums that we already know, that are out there. Going back to Riley and Glass and Reich and Cage. We can see how it's influenced some of the more experimental people in the prog world. But yeah, very strange album, but it's very hard to talk about, very hard to describe, because you've got all this stuff going on, and then sometimes there's not a lot of stuff going on, and then there is, and then there isn't. I can't say, well, there was a quiet bit. There's a quiet bit, because it is, again, it feels organic. It feels like there's, it's like a virus growing in a test tube. It's it's very, very fascinating, piece. Whereas Rainbow and Curved Air and Poppy, No Good, and the Phantom Band has a completely different filter, because again that's about tape and fading things in and out and adding things, rather than this, where it's and I do like the idea. I mean, I've done it with my own ambient noodlings is things running out of sync. I like things out of phase, playing off each other, creating, different feels, different feelings and different colours, because you can do that, if you press the right buttons. But yeah, what can I say? You have to hear this record. You have to hear Terry Riley's In C. You have to. I insist on it. So that's it. I will put links in the description, and you will go off and listen. I know there'll be things, but it's on your YouTube, you tight bastards that are on the YouTube. Support the alien music industry and these artists that we love. Don't be cheap bastards and listen to it on the YouTube or on. I mean, even if it's Spotify, at least somebody gets a penny. Someone gets a penny along the line. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching. In terms of rating, it gets 5 in C's out of 5. That's 5 in C's out of 5 because it's fascinating record. So there you go. That's what it looks like. There's the back, and I think there's a gatefold. There we go. I don't know if you're getting that. A bit shiny. There's the gatefold. Anyway, thanks for watching. There's only one more thing left to say, and that is Prog on!